future. We came to feel the music.
You're watching TBPN.
Today is Friday, August 1st, 2025. We are live from Manhattan, from New York City.
The Big Apple.
The Big Apple, the city that never sleeps.
And we certainly have not been sleeping a lot this week.
I got a pretty good night's sleep last night.
Decent night last night.
Massive day, so wild and exciting.
Still feels like a dream.
Yeah. Really, really crazy that everything came together. So if you weren't watching, we were at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday for the Figma IPO, and Jordy was getting emotional over software.
Design
basically
software.
the entire time, because you've actually used Figma for a decade.
It was an interesting first IPO for us to cover live
100%.
from NYSE, because it was a product that I've been such an active user of for so long and genuinely love, and I was thinking, if next software IPO, the likelihood that I will have any emotional attachment to the product is like near zero.
Exactly.
Right?
Like I love the CoreWeave guys. We've had them on the show, but it's like I'm not a CoreWeave user.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more abstract.
In many ways, like Figma is one of the few like enterprise SaaS products that people like genuinely deeply love and have an emotional connection to. So super fun. Thank you to Lynn, Martin, and the whole NYSE team for hosting us. I was looking down on the floor. There's a bunch of other media companies with dedicated space in the building, and I thought maybe we should make something happen there.
My favorite moment of the entire stream was when you had told the story of hanging out in Figma as like a third space during COVID with a couple of your team members.
Chris. Yeah, Chris, the CTO, we talked about it.
Yeah, so you talked about it a few times, and you'd mentioned that it's so interesting that it was this space where we'd hang out, and then Dylan came on and was like, yeah, we're seeing this weird phenomenon.
Even
where,
in COVID, people would use it
as a third space, and I was like, well, how did you predict this? But it really was
real.
Yeah, it's real, so it makes sense.
And we, of course, are recording this at 6:48 Pacific time. So
welcome. It's
our friends on the West Coast, sorry to go live before you're waking up.
But the good news is that Restream works 24 hours a day.
That's
if
right.
you're looking to publish a stream to multiple platforms, get on Restream. And also thank you to Ramp for making this possible. Time is money, save both. Go to ramp.com.
Incredible timing with Ramp. Ramp's announcement this week.
Fantastic.
It was a massive week.
Really back-to-back wins.
Back-to-back big days for us.
Back wins.
Yeah, and then we had a really fun time last night. We co-hosted an event with Emily Sundberg from Feed Me. It was fantastic. We were at San Vicente, West Village, and Jeff Klein and Abby and the whole team there. We planned the event roughly. We locked it in 24 hours before it actually started. So it really came together, and it was super fun.
Yeah, it was great. So thanks to everyone who attended, and thank you for Vanta for making all of this possible. Vanta.com, automate compliance, security, and trust. And you can go to Vanta.com to get started. So Apple beat earnings.
There we go.
Apple's iPhone sales blew past Wall Street's expectations in the June quarter, helping to lift the company's overall revenue about 10% from a year earlier. Interesting, we've been tracking.
Apple lands a windfall as customers raced to beat tariffs. That's the story. I think that what's really driving iPhone adoption is just Girardi and memetics against what we did with Tyler. People saw, if I beat ArcAGI as a human, I deserve an iPhone, a little treat. And so I think we kickstarted a trend. And I wouldn't be surprised if the leaderboard, if I opened it up, it's tens of millions of people that have treated themselves to an ArcAGI and then gotten a new iPhone out of it. Yes, I think there's probably something there.
There's something there. But on a more serious note, Rolf Winkler in the Wall Street Journal has the story. He says, Apple's iPhone sales blew past Wall Street's expectations in the June quarter as some U.S. consumers rushed to buy their devices before potential price increases from tariffs. I didn't realize that the prices are going up because of tariffs meme had actually taken hold.
Yeah.
Especially because it felt like on day one, Apple was maneuvering to never be in a situation where tariffs were going to affect the iPhone. We put up that Polymarket where we were saying, will the next iPhone be over $1,000 or under $1,000? Like, where will that sit? And so there was like plenty of data points, and very early you could see that Tim Cook was negotiating with Donald Trump to make sure that the prices weren't moving very heavily. But of course, there's always like a impending possibility that something happens. But it was odd that I wasn't aware that like this had affected broad consumption.
This happened a lot in the automotive industry. Every single dealer was using the pending tariffs to get people in the door.
Oh,
get them
interesting.
To convert. And
but I mean, Apple Store, it's not exactly the same. It's not used car salesman energy at the Apple Store. You think they're like pulling people off the street?
They probably weren't pushing it, but I think people underestimate how many people are iPhone buyers that are still price sensitive, and the difference if price goes up 20%, they're gonna. They care about saving.
The weird thing is, like, I feel like right now, I always feel like it's a bad time to buy an iPhone because they release every year, and I want it the day it comes out, and then even if I'm like a month in, like if the new iPhone comes out October 1st, if it's like December, I'll be like, I'll just wait till the next one comes out.
I know these people rushing to buy.
But if you buy this and then you get the new, and then the next one's going to be a proper refresh of the design. We saw that new maybe going less camera bump, maybe the flash and the LiDAR or the dot projector kind of moved over, and so there's a few different things that could be different, and all of a sudden you could be stuck with an iPhone that doesn't scream I have the latest and greatest, which I think people often enjoy. Although all of the design iterations have been so subtle, the upgrade from even 4 years ago to today, you really have to notice like, okay, the edge of the screen's like a little bit thinner, and that's it. Anyway, the robust sales growth for the company's signature product was the highest increase in years, exceeding 13%. And I mean, I feel like we talked about this a couple months ago on the show. The iPhone had fully saturated, reached maximum penetration, and was plateauing in China, losing ground there as the Chinese were moving to more domestically made and domestic brands, the Huawei phones, et cetera. And so when we talked about it a couple months ago, we were certainly not expecting a big jump in iPhone sales.
Yeah, remember earlier this week it was reported that Apple was closing a retail store in China for the first time.
That's right. So shares rose by about 3% in after-hours trading. Overall sales came in at $94 billion, about 10% higher than the same period a year ago. So that puts them almost at a $400 billion ARR, which is nice to see.
In China, for the first time in 2 years, Apple's revenue rose. It's a little bit of a comeback story. They had suffered 6 to 7 consecutive quarters of decline prior to that. So again, driven by increased iPhone sales. I guess there is real demand for the 16, and they were running but they were discounting going into some local festivals there.
So Tim Cook said the company will face tariff costs of about $1.1 billion in the July to September period, compared with $800 million in the June quarter. That's still so little when you're making $100 billion. It's a 1% tax effectively.
Yeah.
And so I do wonder if this is dramatically changing the amount of tax that's actually paid from Apple to the U.S. government on a regular basis, because companies are famous for being in Ireland and withholding the earnings, and then not generating a ton of cash and investing in R&D or stock buybacks, and just doing everything that they can to mitigate the tax burden. I wonder if this is a meaningful.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago that Apple was sending how many 747s to pick up. They were like evacuating iPhones.
That's right. They were worried about the tariffs in this pretty serious way.
Yeah.
But
I think that was more so, hey, if we get all this inventory into the States today, we're going to save however many. It's just a good practical business decision.
So the CFO, Kevin Parikh, said the company saw some obvious signs of pull-ahead demand related to tariffs earlier in the quarter. He attributed about 1/6 of iPhone sales growth to such purchases. So what they say, the growth was 14%. So 1/6 of that, an incremental 2% of sales coming from customers who were worried about tariffs. He said the rest was due to very strong upgrade performance in general. Interesting. That's just like the health of the American consumer. Like, people are not. They're like, I like my phone, and I still have a job, and I'm making a decent amount of money, so now's as good of time to upgrade as ever.
Yep.
Another bright spot was an increase in China sales. Wow. Unexpected. After declines in recent years, the tariff impact could rise in the near future. An exemption for smartphones from reciprocal tariffs is expected to lapse. When it does, Apple could face steep tariffs for iPhones that originate in India as well, especially after President Trump announced new levies on India on Wednesday. Tariffs are just one issue that Apple has weighed on Apple shares this year. Apple has kept spending in check relative to Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Meta platforms, of course, because of their massive AI investments, which we will get into. But some investors are wary of rewarding that discipline, as it points to the iPhone maker's struggle to keep up with an AI arms race. Maybe they should be spending $70 billion on CapEx to build a foundation model. Who knows? Gross margin came in at 46.5%, above the 45.9% expected. And so the really interesting question is just like, what does the next iPhone refresh look like, and how much does it change the actual economics of the business if they do that folding phone and people love it, and then there's a whole new upgrade cycle? Like, imagine if it really becomes a status symbol and everyone on the Pro phone needs to upgrade, and it's a $2,000 phone instead of a $1,000 phone. Like, that could be a pretty significant driver of growth.
Yeah. What he mentioned, Tim Cook discussed openness to M&A on the earnings call as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And
what they
we'll
buy.
see. Yeah,
everything's so
question.
expensive. When you look through the history of Apple's acquisitions, it's like,
remember Beats? They bought for $3 billion.
Yep,
that's their largest acquisition of all time.
Yeah.
Their run rate at the time was $1 billion a year. They paid
3x revenue.
3x revenue. To buy Beats.
They probably sold so many Beats headsets.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
Apple
sure.
stores.
Yeah, you
made that back 10 times over.
You don't see Beats. At least I don't see Beats very often out in the world.
Not that often, but I definitely see good reviews for the AirPod competitors that are more athletic and they wrap around the ear. Some people say they don't fall out of your ears if you're doing like really extreme athletics, and they definitely sell. And then I think Siri was like no more than a couple $100 million acquisition.
Yeah.
And they also bought Shazam, and that was also not a huge acquisition. They've never done some sort of massive multi-billion-dollar acquisition that was frothy.
Yeah. So Tim said, we see AI as one of the most profound technologies of our lifetime. We are embedding it across our devices and platforms and across the company. We are also significantly growing our investments. Apple has always been about taking the most advanced technologies and making them easy to use and accessible for everyone. And that's at the heart of our AI strategy. All sounds good.
I feel like the text to speech has gotten better. Not the speech to text. That's still bad, but the text to speech, because I was pulling up a semi-analysis article on Wednesday, and I went into reader mode, and I told Safari, the native Safari app, read this to me, and it sounded pretty reasonable. And so I think they updated the model at some point, because it used to be really robotic, and now it's not quite at the level of ChatGPT when ChatGPT reads you something, but the text to speech was pretty good, and it should get better. It should get better very, very quickly. Anyway.
Yeah. So CapEx, like you said, is up.
Yeah. How much?
But it doesn't.
Okay.
I don't have the exact data point here, but the thing to note is that it's not an exponential increase in CapEx, and they've said that they're going to continue to rely on like third-party capital providers for some of these investments, and so they just said broadly don't expect CapEx to rise anywhere near what other hyperscalers are doing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting in relation to their notes on M&A is that Apple's acquired 7 companies this year.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to think of any of them.
I mean, the most recent Apple acquisition I can think of is like, you have a buddy who sold a company to them, right? Or something like that.
That was like years ago.
Yeah, but like that's the one that comes to mind, and it's only because it's like an in-network deal.
So, they've acquired 7 companies this year. Tim says none were huge in terms of dollar amount.
Yeah. I remember when I was digging into how they built
and he also said Apple's making acquisitions at the rate of 1 every several weeks. So it's just quite strange.
Deals guy.
Love it. Not not hearing about a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean, Apple comms famously locked down, so it's not like they're doing some like, mutual podcast tour if they do some sort of deal. It's usually like, come into the organization and then we're gonna run a pretty tight ship. I remember when I was digging into the precursor, like the rumors around the Apple Vision Pro a few years ago, before the VR headset dropped, before their augmented reality headset dropped, and a lot of the technology that went into the Apple Vision Pro was acquired in. Yeah. And so like Apple Vision Pro, they acquired some teams, but they also acquired some patents and some technology and a whole bunch of different things that they pieced together.
Ben Taft, neighbor of mine and close friend. So that
was one of them.
He was working on a virtual reality product called Mira, and I believe his entire team is still at Apple. And anyway, so Zuck earlier this week also shared that he believes that so eyewear will be like one of the important new computing platforms. Tim Cook on the earnings call yesterday was asked about next gen computing platforms and just hardware broadly, and he said it's difficult to see a world where the iPhone's not living in it. That doesn't mean we are not thinking about other things as well, but I think that AI devices are likely to be complementary devices, not substitutions. So obviously going to be somewhat biased there, given that the iPhone is the greatest cash cow in human history. But I tend to agree, and I do believe that's how a lot of these new AI hardware companies are messaging. They're calling it a net new device, not necessarily a replacement. So we'll see. I think Perplexity's working on a phone, Solana's working on a phone, and those are there's just a lot of people that are taking a crack at the market. So obviously
nothing's working on a phone. Nothing has a phone. No.
Nothing has.
Odd company name. I know.
Yeah.
The market is selling off broadly today. The Nasdaq's down 2.5% so far, and Apple is one of the more stable in the Mag 7. Most of the Mag 7 companies are down 2 to 3%. Apple less than 1% on this news. On the flip side, Amazon also reported earnings and is down 7% and is doing much less well. But it's interesting because the headline in the journal is "Cloud helps catapult Amazon," and like the long and the short of it is that Amazon beat expectations on both revenue and earnings and did very well. But there was a big question about how AWS is performing relative to the competitors in the cloud, and so there was still a lot of pressure. And there's a few posts in the timeline about Amazon we should pull up, but I will first give a little bit of an overview of what happened with earnings. But also let me tell you about graphite.dev. I'm going from one thing
Smooth,
to
John.
Teams that ship on GitHub use Graphite. Code review in the age of AI. Get on graphite.dev.
Carol, CEO,
yes,
was at the event last night.
Great to meet him in person.
Got some fantastic updates on the business. So
yes,
team is absolutely crushing.
So cloud helps catapult Amazon. E-commerce giants quarterly earnings beat Wall Street's expectations. Amazon.com reported sharp increases in sales and profit, partly fueled by the growth of its cloud computing business. The company said Thursday that revenue rose 13% in the second quarter to $168 billion. Profit increased 35%. The sales and profit expectations beat Wall Street's expectations. The results beat the expectations. AWS reported that sales climbed 17.5% in the 3 months following the earnings report. Amazon shares fell 7% in aftermarket trading because the cloud business wasn't growing as much as its rivals. It's such a bull market. It's such a hot market that it's the Red Queen race. You have to keep up with everyone else. Jeffrey's analyst.
Post here from Buco Capital Bloke. He said Doug from JP Morgan asked why AWS is growing slower than Azure and GCP, and Jassy responds with some weird comment about the law of large numbers and the Gen AI customer experience, and the stock instantly yeets negative 4%. Imagine your company losing $96 billion from your bad answer, LOL. So
yeah, law of large numbers. What is he trying to say? He's just like we're so big, and because we are the biggest, it's harder for us to grow at the same percentage rate. Is that what he's saying?
Britton, who's biased. He's over at Microsoft now. He says AWS was leading when they had inertia on their side. I saw it break and left.
It is wild.
I mean,
some of the developer advocates get wild on the timeline.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's war.
Yeah, it's war.
It's blood sport to them.
Yeah. It's remarkable. So Jeffries is saying the same thing. Disappointing given the momentum at Microsoft and Google's units. Of course, Google has Gemini. Microsoft has OpenAI. Google has the TPU. Microsoft is a massive NVIDIA customer and has all the OpenAI and the Crusoe facility. There's like so many different tiers of capabilities at Microsoft. Satya's been messaging very, very well to the enterprise about the capabilities of Azure as that cloud routing model. The idea that we have basically the best asset in the category. We have completely differentiated access to OpenAI, which is the one that if you just ask people on the street, what is AI? They'll say, oh, ChatGPT? Oh, just chat? Like that's the one that they're familiar with. It has massive brand recognition, and Microsoft has a preferential deal there.
And then at the same time, I think that businesses make much more, researched decisions around
100%, and that's
why
why
we talked with
Amazon,
Avi earlier this week. He was saying he's running Friend on Gemini.
But
notable.
But Amazon's been able to act as that model router for a lot of companies. Obviously, not with Gemini, but with Llama and Grok that will serve all these different things. And so AWS just doesn't quite have that same narrative. Like we can describe Google's and GCP's plan in the sense that it's like they're staying on this Pareto frontier with Gemini. They have all these great models. We can describe Microsoft's strategy with getting super early in OpenAI and then acting as model agnostic and serving Grok and Llama and DeepSeek and everything. It's harder to articulate AWS's AI strategy.
Direct quote here from Andy. We have more demand than we have capacity right now. We could be doing more revenue and helping customers more, and we're working very hard on changing that outcome and how much capacity we had. He did say that constraints such as power and chip availability may take several quarters to resolve. So again,
the backlog.
The backlog is real, but Satya and Sundar are still putting up numbers.
Yeah. So Amazon is best known for its e-commerce business, which no one cares about anymore because they only care about AI at this point. And its heft in the retail industry makes it a bellwether for consumer spending. Its business renting space.
I am interested to see. I wonder if they had any comments about the new de minimis exemption.
Yeah, look that up. Amazon spent $30.4 billion on CapEx in the second quarter, much higher than analysts' forecast of 26 billion. So 31 to 26. That's a pretty big jump, and that puts them on a 125 billion dollar capex run rate. That is massive, and that definitely puts them at the top of the stack, like its rivals. But of course, like if you're investing that much in data centers, like you have to put up the numbers in the growth of the cloud. Like its rivals, Amazon has been trying to cut costs while increasing capital expenditures and integrating AI. Jassy said that AI would be, where are we going with this? Would result in the company having fewer white-collar workers. The company spokesperson recently said Amazon would lay off a number of employees in its cloud computing division, in part because of shifting business priorities. Interesting. I don't know. I was talking more with Joe Weisenthal last night about why you would turn down one of Zuck's offers, the white whale, why you would stay at OpenAI, and one of the
or Thinking Machines or Anthropic,
any
or
of those,
any player.
And I was thinking that there's this world where if you want to be like a top executive, there's something powerful about being at the company where that's the main thing.
Being top, that's true. Also just being in the top 10 kind of key players in an org versus being top 50 at Meta. You're going to be able to have potentially more impact, responsibility, and ultimately, influence on this like broader trend.
Yeah. Like the Thinking Machines one's a little bit more complicated, but certainly like the question of like why didn't Mark Chen accept like $1 billion offer to go to Meta? Like the financial stuff, maybe that pencils out. But I think the other interesting thing is that it's like for Google, search is the priority. Search is the most important. It's the crown jewel of the overall structure of that business. And so if you're the number one researcher, the number one guy, or the number one person, or the number one executive in search, like that's extremely valuable. And with OpenAI being in that position with ChatGPT, you are like the market leader right now. If you think you can maintain that, it's like even if Meta puts up a really great performance and creates a great number 2 product, there could be a really steep power law where you're running something that is not as important as Facebook and Instagram to their bottom line, to their business.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I think the already rich reason is probably a real factor as well. I would be don't know any details at all, but I'd be hard pressed to believe that Mark Chen is not worth at least $500 million at this point. So, anyways.
Well, in other news, Ray Dalio has sold his last remaining stake in Bridgewater and left its board, capping the protracted transition from the hedge fund firm he founded. And really quickly, let me tell you about numeralhq.com, sales tax on autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. Thank you for clapping.
Great transition, John. Still got it.
So, Ray Dalio has been...
And by the way, if you're just joining us, early show today. We are still in New York.
We're coming back today.
And we will be headed back to LA later today.
Yes. We should do Coinbase at some point, but in the meantime, Ray Dalio sold his last remaining stake in Bridgewater Associates and stepped off its board, capping a tumultuous transition at the hedge fund he founded. Bridgewater bought the remaining shares held by its charismatic billionaire founder. The firm told clients in a letter last week. People familiar with the matter said Bridgewater subsequently issued new shares to the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Brunei in a multi-billion-dollar deal that gave the Southeast Asian fund a nearly 20% stake in the Connecticut firm. Neither transaction has previously been reported in Bridgewater's letter. Didn't mention the Brunei Investment Agency. The Sovereign Wealth Fund has been a longtime investor and transferred its money invested in a Bridgewater fund to invest in the firm's equity. So they're rolling from LP to GP stake, basically. The Brunei fund now ranks as one of Bridgewater's biggest owners, though co-investment chief Bob Prince has a larger stake, said one of the people. Dalio is 75 now. That really, I feel like that crept up on me. I feel like when I think of him, I don't think of him as that. I feel like it was.
You don't think of him as a
75 guy.
You wouldn't.
He looks great,
yeah.
and he's like, yeah, and he really is like charismatic. But he brings a lot of energy to his podcast.
Certified Unk status.
Certified Unk status, but also, yeah, just like an incredible amount of energy. And he doesn't look.
Totally.
He doesn't look like he's like fighting it. I don't know.
And he probably wants to focus on being a content creator.
Probably. I mean, 2 books under his belt.
I've done it all.
He's done
I've done it all.
Yeah.
I just want to make TikToks now.
Have you seen his like social distribution strategy?
Oh, it's great.
Fantastic.
Probably has 1,000 clippers globally.
Whoever he hired actually turned his book into like a straight up mega viral YouTube video with graphics and did it really, really well. And the team that was on that just executed it at a very, very high level. It was very surprising, given that you wouldn't expect that to come from like a Connecticut hedge fund that's like so out of the YouTube world.
Totally.
But he's done very well. Dalio, in a statement that said he looks forward to Bridgewater's future success in his role as a client and a mentor. He remains invested in the funds. People close to the firm said they hope that Dalio's exit from its ownership ranks and board will simplify its governance. Though Dalio has given up his CEO, co-investment chair, and board chairman roles over the years, in addition to selling down his own stake, he had remained actively engaged, regularly making requests and registering complaints. Said people, he's still giving us feedback, and he said he was leaving.
That's been something I've been. I mean, we'll have Gurley on the show at some point, but I've been trying to get a read on. Is
what's
Gurley
the soft power?
Really, what's Gurley's soft power over benchmark? He's still. He went over to China recently, I think, to check out what's happening in AI there. Benchmark,
and people definitely read Bill Gurley's tweets and see that as like a proxy or a surrogate. He's like a surrogate for benchmark. It feels like that, but I don't know. What's actually going on.
Yeah, the question is, could he still be one of their largest LPs, right?
Probably.
And then in that case, like you do exercise quite a lot of.
Totally.
You can exercise influence over the firm.
Yeah. So he's remained actively engaged, which is also hilarious because are you familiar with how Bridgewater like tracks every meeting? Are you familiar with this? So Bridgewater famously like records every meeting and transcribes it all and makes it all available, or they did for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this is like apocryphal, but the idea is that
back in the day, was there somebody?
I think so.
Actually transcribing it.
Stripe does something somewhat similar, where Stripe, for a long time, and I think it's probably evolved in the age of Slack and chat and whatnot, but for a long time, by default, every email was on kind of a listserv that anyone could look at, and so you could go and see and trace through not just the GitHub, pull request history of how Stripe was built as a software product, but you could actually go and read the emails that the product managers were sending around, what the engineers were discussing, all the different trade-offs that led Stripe to build certain things certain ways. Yeah. And so incredible for onboarding.
So if you wanted to figure out basically the why behind anything, you could without bothering anybody or making them repeat the reasons or remember all the
and
reasons.
Then remember we talked to Jeff at Stripe. He came on the show and he was saying that like we're really glad we did that because now we have this incredible log of stuff that's already public within Stripe,
and you can probably now query it and organize it, or what are the key meetings that like drove this decision or
that's
this
really
product?
Interesting.
Who are the people that pushed for this? Who are the people that had concerns about it?
Yeah. And so you can query. So I think they've done that. And then he was also saying that they now have, I believe, an AI agent that's proactive and will actually jump in and say, based on what I know, like you two are talking about this, you probably want this extra context, even though you didn't even ask me. So that's very interesting. Anyway, Bridgewater's been doing that for a very long time. They call it radical transparency. It was very controversial because it's such a bizarre way to run a company. It's very different from most hedge funds, but it worked out, and a lot of people that have been at Bridgewater have certainly enjoyed it, even though it is like kind of an acquired taste. But it certainly resulted in fantastic performance for the fund. In 2011, Dalio said succession at Bridgewater would be a 10-year process. We're now 14 years into this process. Little miscalculation there. It has been a protracted, messy affair, says the Wall Street Journal. The firm tried various numbers and combinations of CEOs. One of them later sued, then settled with the firm. Bridgewater Chief Executive Nir Bardia and Mike McGavick, co-chair of the firm's board, wrote in the letter to investors that the sale of Dalio's last shares was an ideal culmination of the ownership transition process. They said Dalio, the board, and employees would celebrate the firm's 50th anniversary together in Connecticut and New York. Bridgewater's assets under management have fallen in recent years to just $92 billion. Just a small little... Just a small $92 billion fund. Still massive, but this is down from $168 billion in 2019. It's pretty massive. I mean, it is the world's biggest hedge fund, or one of, definitely in the top 10. And I remember a decade ago, these hedge funds were like, being in the 10 billion range would put you in the category of being the biggest, and they've all basically 10x'd, I believe.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Anyway.
Well,
Coinbase earnings.
End of an era. Coinbase earnings. Let's walk through it.
But first, let me tell you about AdQuick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe.
We need to go see our billboards while we're here, John.
We do. We still haven't seen them in person. I've seen so many photos. I
so
feel
busy.
like I've seen this. So Coinbase, in summary, they missed on top line but beat on bottom line. Revenue was estimated to be, what was it? Top line verdict, 1.59 billion. And they posted just slightly below 1.4 billion. So Coinbase said its profits surged in the second quarter, so that's the bottom line beat, fueled by gains in its investments, including crypto company Circle Internet Group. So they're making more money from Circle, and that's obviously higher margins, so that's driving higher profits. So the cryptos exchange...
The update since... The journal's already out of date. Coinbase is down 15% today.
15% today, wow.
Still sitting at $82 billion.
$82 billion. Coinbase Global, led by CEO Brian Armstrong, said it earned $1.4 billion, or $5.14 per share in the second quarter, compared with $36 million a year ago. That's a huge swing. That's the nature of this company. It's still not on this, like, just like clockwork clockwork profit. So if you look at this chart here, I don't know if you can see this, Jordy, but it's like very neutral profits, and then just put up $1 billion in profit, and then very neutral profits, and then like break even, and then $1 billion, break even, and then $1 billion.
So naturally, the
real founder's journey.
The share price is just going to fluctuate wildly.
Yes.
Still almost a 10x from the bottom.
Wow.
In 2022.
So the company said the increase was driven in part by a pre-tax gain from its investment in stablecoin provider Circle Internet Group, which had a blockbuster stock market debut in June. Total revenue rose to $1.5 billion from $1.4 billion a year ago, but fell short of Wall Street's expectations. Analysts were expecting $1.59 billion in revenue for the quarter. On a quarter-by-quarter basis, revenue fell 26% from over $2 billion in the first quarter, which the company attributed in part to lower market volatility. So if you remember Q1, the Liberation Day, Bitcoin was all over the place, and there were talks of the sovereign wealth fund in the United States. There was so much crypto news back and forth. That was all driving volatility, and that was driving volume on Coinbase and obviously revenue for Coinbase. Transaction revenue declined from $764 million to 764 million from 781 million a year ago. The slide was caused by a slump in spot crypto trading activities during the 3 months that ended June 30th. Total trading volume rose to 237 billion in the second quarter from 226 billion a year ago. To drive its next leg of growth, Coinbase said it aims to become the everything exchange and focus on tokenization or the conversion of traditional financial and real-world assets into tradable tokens on chain. The company also has been working to diversify its business and recently partnered with JPMorgan Chase and PNC Bank to facilitate the buying and selling of cryptocurrencies by their clients. I think a lot of that is on the back of a couple acquisitions that they made for custody. Coinbase at this point goes all the way from, a consumer, like just general user who just downloads the app, wants to buy a couple dollars of Bitcoin, all the way up to the largest institutions in the world at this point. We're really, really widespread of the client base, but I think that's part of the strategy. Meanwhile, Coinbase has been capitalizing on momentum under President Trump's crypto-friendly positions, with Bitcoin trading near its peak of more than $120,000. Shares have jumped 52% this year, cementing it as one of the largest publicly traded crypto companies with a market cap of more than 90 billion, although it is, of course, down today. And Bitcoin is at 115.
Outside of the numbers, the thing that stood out was Brian's messaging around, he says it here on X.
You
Coinbase,
saw his post, right?
Coinbase is becoming the everything exchange. All assets will inevitably move on chain, so we want to have everything you want to trade in one place. Incoming, our DEX integration, which will allow users to access millions of assets, and expansion of our derivatives offerings. He says next are tokenized equities and more. So again, we covered this before, but it feels very much like Coinbase and Robinhood are converging towards to ultimately
Super Bowl,
basically the Super Bowl, fintech Super Bowl.
We're not going to. We don't like the war analogies. That's too negative.
Yeah,
I like the sports analogies.
The NBA finals.
The NBA finals of fintech. Truly. Yeah. And it's funny because when both those companies started around the same time, I believe Andreessen Horowitz invested in both of them. And I went through. I was in the same YC batch loosely with Brian Armstrong and Coinbase, and then I remember talking to Chris Dixon at a dinner, and he was like, "Hey, you're young. What apps are you using?" And the one app that I was on my phone that was like an up and coming startup was Robinhood. And he was like, "Why are you investing in public equities?" Yeah, and I was like, "I own some
remember
Tesla
Mickey from Ribbit is also early in Coinbase and Robinhood, right? So all is converging.
Yeah, Mickey is just wearing the NFL hat, I just support all fintech. He's not picking a team. Yeah. It was the Rob Lowe, I believe, is the meme. Rob Lowe in the NFL hat. You've seen this? Yeah, it's great. Anyway, let me tell you about Addio.com. Customer relationship magic. Addio is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. Let's go through the mansion section. Find me some posts on the
Before that, let's give a little bit of coverage of updates on the Figma IPO.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, there was a funny post in here from Jawan.
Okay.
Jawan apparently got a offer back in 2019.
Okay. Oof. Series C territory.
And he was going to get a base of $165K a year and 300,000 in Figma RSUs.
300,000 shares.
And I guess by his calculation, it would have turned into 30 million. Okay. But the important thing, Jawan is now getting the ability to spend his time automating finance.
Yes.
And certainly didn't pick a bad company to join on that
front.
Gary Tan says, if you stick around in tech and you're good, sooner or later you start collecting these stories. Yeah. I think remember Gary designed the Palantir logo back in the day.
Crazy. And
I wonder if he held on.
I don't know. Yeah. It's almost $1 trillion company.
More, Siki ran some numbers. Siki Chen said there's 10x returners, there's fund returners, and there's Figma. Figma alone returned 10x the entire fund of not one, not two, but 3 VC funds. So he pulls up Index Ventures, which made their initial investment out of a seed fund. It was a $4 million investment, or $3.9 million, out of a $400 million fund, and it is a 1,850x multiple.
What's the multiple of fund on that?
The fund multiple is 18x. Greylock, who did the Series A, is sitting on an 11x fund. They did the Series A out of a $600 million fund. KP, which did the Series B, is sitting on a 10x fund out of a $700 million fund, which is just wild. And then Sequoia will have returned 1.5x on a $2.5 billion fund.
That's crazy.
So
just from that one deal, and then there's other stuff in the
and
portfolio.
Gary chimes in, says grand slam home run business.
Yep.
It's not just a home run business, it's a grand slam home run business.
Yeah, this is good advice for all the VCs out there.
And
just get one Figma in your portfolio.
I noted this on the timeline yesterday, but we are retiring the gong that we had at NYSE yesterday. It's a game hit gong by none other than Dylan Field. So we still need to get him to sign it and date it, of course, but pretty wild. Delian says, greatest capital markets on earth, greatest country on earth, and throws up not one, but 3 American flags, quoting Signal's post. He said, nothing hits like an IPO in America. It's the most iconic cultural moment that's relatively infrequent. The most beautiful part about it is that not only here does a company going public trigger a national feedback loop of inspiration, kids watch it, builders feel it, and the next gen catches fire. Nowhere else turns liquidity into legacy like this. So,
Signal is such a funny posting style.
very
so
unique.
Good job.
And pretty insane. We also didn't really cover this yet, but ChatGPT is apparently now generating $1 billion a month in revenue.
Yep.
But is projecting to burn $8 billion in 2025.
Wait, so they'll generate $12 billion in revenue and spend $20.
It sounds like they're run rating
$1 billion.
$1 billion
a month. So they're $12 billion a year.
And the other story here is that Anthropic is now at $4.5 billion in annualized revenue.
Okay.
DiDi DOS is calling it the fastest growing software company in history.
Wow.
And they just overtook OpenAI to become the market leader in LLM API cost. So he drops an analysis here. So.
Well, if you want to use AI, use Fin AI, the #1 AI agent for customer service. Fin is the best performing AI agent, delivering higher quality customer service and higher resolution rates.
And another post here. So, of course, a couple days ago, Mark Zuckerberg announced his vision for personal superintelligence for everyone. Near says, I'm having flashbacks of 2023, and it's a post by Character AI that says, we started Character AI to bring personalized superintelligence to everyone on Earth. So anyways, funny little throwback there. And then in other news, one thing I wanted to highlight, FinTech Junkie. What's his? I feel bad that I don't remember his real name, but clearly he's running as FinTech Junkie end to end now. But FinTech Junkie was a founding partner, co-founder of QED Investors, FinTech investment group, backed a bunch of companies. I think they led like two rounds in Wander, and they're in a bunch of great stuff. He's introducing 37 Maru and taking a step back from QED now.
What is 37 Maru?
So at a high level, 37 Maru is a small batch idea factory with one simple approach: identify profound problems, develop well thought out solutions, find amazing founders to partner with, and then obsessively build together. So Venture Studio is my read on it.
Okay.
This is my chance to collaborate with the many remarkable people I've grown to know and respect in the VC world, as well as the opportunity to partner with a few hunger-eager founders, capital F founders, to build special businesses together. 37 Maru isn't an incubator or an accelerator. It's a way for me to throw my time and resources at a very small number of ideas and roll up my sleeves as an operator once again. It is got to put him in the truth zone here a little bit, because this does seem like the definition of a venture studio, so to say. It's not an incubator. And he says, I don't plan on doing it alone. Every idea will require a co-founder. Every idea will require hiring amazing people to work with.
Yeah.
And
what's the name again? 37 Maru? Is it M-A-R-U?
M-A-R-U.
You think is that a reference to Move 37 and the Kobayashi Maru from Star Trek?
It must be. Who's Kobayashi Maru?
Kobayashi Maru is this it's like the final exam that you have to take at Starfleet or something. I don't really remember. In the simulation, it's a training simulation used by Starfleet Academy to test cadets' character, decision making, and how they handle a no-win scenario. It's a legendary part of Star Trek lore. And then Move 37 from the Lee Sedol DeepMind match.
Yeah.
But then there's also 37 Signals, and I don't know where Jason came up with 37, how he picked that, because he named 37 Signals before Move 37, so it's clearly not a reference to DeepMind.
Maybe Move 37 is
a reference to 37 Signals. They're like, we saw
It goes
DHH's
deeper.
Valkyrie, and we're sending coded messages.
We saw his remote work setup.
Yes.
And we want that. The superintelligence wants that.
Yes.
And
And,
Valkyrie,
and I can only communicate with you via numbers. The superintelligence locked in AlphaGo is like, I need to send a signal
not
to
seeing
DHH.
patterns that don't exist.
Put
John.
me in the car and take me around the track. I need to feel the G-forces.
Well, 37 Maru's investment themes, algorithmic isolation, which he's saying personalized content algorithms are fracturing our shared cultural experiences, leaving us with less common ground than ever before. The algorithms powering our daily digital diet have become remarkably sophisticated at learning our preferences and serving us exactly what we want to see. I'm not going to read through all of this, but he basically is referencing back in the day, radio, TV, everybody was kind of like consuming a lot of the same media. And you could strike up a conversation with anyone about last night's episode or this week's hit song. I do feel like I gotta, my immediate thought is when a tweet deeply resonates with me, most of our friends, I feel like, have already seen it. Also thought it was funny. So there's like some effect of like, even if a group of people don't follow the same person, like if you have like, again, like common ground with somebody already, then the content will be served to you. But anyways, he wants to fresh tools and experiences that focus on shared content and group activities. Music's missing layer. Says the music industry offers consumers inexpensive passive streaming services and expensive engaging live events, leaving a vast opportunity for new products to emerge in the middle. The access paradox, zero commission trading apps have democratized market access but created a generation of untrained investors gambling with sophisticated financial products they don't understand. I think some people like that they don't understand. It makes it more exciting. Let's see here.
Understand the internals of the slot
he wants
machine.
to create creative new approaches are needed to support ongoing waves of participants, focusing on innovative tools, intuitive safeguards, and adaptive resources rather than conventional teaching.
Have you ever heard
messaging.
of dice control? Have you ever heard of this theory? So at the craps table, you know how you have to like throw the dice?
Yeah.
And there's like you can't just be like, I threw it like that. They like, you have to throw it across the table. It has to bounce, hit the back, and the back has like this spiky foam that makes the dice go in random directions.
Yeah.
So in theory, it's like impossible to be like, I'm intentionally good at throwing snake eyes, or I'm intentionally good at throwing,
in theory.
7. In theory. But dice control is a thesis that some people believe that you can actually control the dice. you can actually become so precise at throwing the dice that you're like, okay, I know that if I throw it at the perfect arc, it will bounce once, do a 360, bounce another time, do a 720, and then land exactly where I want.
I need back to back 720s.
Exactly.
And I'm in the money.
Exactly. So there are people that believe this, and I guess in theory you could.
I just need
you could do it
3
because you didn't throw it
10x's in a row,
bit.
John, and I'm a billionaire.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of the financial markets equivalent of that now.
Well, 37 Maru's last theme is financial nihilism. So he simultaneously wants to
Black belt here. What's going on?
Well, no, I like it. Like on one hand is like new approaches that help
Yeah.
people that are new participants in financial markets.
Okay.
And then the other side is just like life's a casino.
Sure.
And he says a new theory is needed to help restore society's confidence in the achievability of realistic financial goals. So this is more focused on, helping people get out of being black-pilled and towards ownership. I mean, I think that the Gerstner accounts that Trump is rolling out are an example of that. But that's a, public solution versus private market.
Has anyone built a casino on top of that yet, where you can wrap the Gerstner accounts and trade forward contracts against your Gerstner account? In the highest leverage casino possible.
Miss Rachel meets like Robin Hood, and is just teaching 4-year-olds to use options.
I do like that he's coming out with some strong theses about how he wants the world to look, and then executing on that. I'm thinking of other folks who have done that, like Trey Stevens with the Soul Reader, the Face Kindle. He's like, I like to read. I want portability, but I don't want the infinite dopamine machine to read. I don't want to read on the infinite dopamine machine. So I'm making a pair of e-ink glasses that let me read in essentially isolation. Palmer Luckey's same thing with Chromatic. And Mod Retro, thinking about I want the world to embrace this nostalgic legacy technology. I think there were things that were done very well, so I'm going to go and marshal resources and to actually go and build that company that otherwise would just not exist, because it's not a natural path that the business community or the capital markets would like go and fund. So he has to marshal it himself.
Also important, I finally remembered FinTech Junkie's name, which is Frank Rotman. So we should have him on the show. I've always appreciated his writing over the years. And we'll reach out, Frank.
Fantastic. Well, let me tell you about Bezel. GetBezel.com. Bezel is the top marketplace in the world for authenticated luxury watches. Thank you. And speaking of the luxury world, maybe we should
before we go into that, I just have one more story that dropped.
Okay, tell me.
This week by Andrew Ross Sorkin contributed to it. We got to hang with Andrew last night.
Absolute legend.
Absolute legend.
It was a pleasure talking to him.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. His day is like very inverted from ours.
He's clearly much better at this.
He had there's levels.
There's levels to this.
He basically showed there's levels.
There's levels to this.
So we do the show for us. It sits in the middle of every single weekday.
Yeah.
That makes it very hard to have any type of deep work or anything like
crazy.
that.
We're doing it on hard mode.
Andrew last night goes, I think about it as like I do television on my way to work, because he works. He's live like 6 to 9 Eastern.
Really?
And anyways, very cool. But he contributed to this piece in Dealbook. New exclusive: OpenAI secures another giant funding deal. The venture capital round values the ChatGPT maker at $300 billion, and underscores the fierceness of the AI money race.
We've been hearing rumors about 350. 300 seems like potentially an absolute steal.
So OpenAI's latest mega round. While Wall Street has been focused on how tech giants are spending on artificial intelligence, the most prominent name in the field, OpenAI, has been racking up big money. Dealbook is the first to report on the huge numbers and what the round means for the company behind ChatGPT in an increasingly heated AI race. OpenAI has raised $8.3 billion at a $300 billion valuation, months ahead of schedule, as part of its plans to secure $40 billion in funding this year.
Billion.
Yeah, and again, I believe that the whole, a lot of the deals with Masa were getting like announced with like clearly like Masa needed some lead time to pull the capital together. Obviously, he's very bullish on the company. So back in March, OpenAI announced ambitious funding plans, with SoftBank committing to provide $30 billion by year end. So Masa's just racing, dialing. Probably flying all around the world to help put this money together. Might end up being one of the biggest SPVs of all time in the venture context. It's hard to think of.
You have to print out the SPV document and hang it on the wall.
And again, they're burning roughly $8 billion this year, so they do need the cash. A wave of new investors participated in the new round, including private equity giants Blackstone and TPG, and the mutual fund manager T. Rowe Price. So really going after the big dogs. Other participants include Fidelity Management, Founders Fund, Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, Co2 Management, Altimeter Capital, D1 Capital, Tiger Global, and Drive Capital.
just a few of our buddies.
Just a few of former guests of the show.
Yeah.
Blackstone and TPG aren't major investors in AI model makers, but they were seen by OpenAI as particularly valuable since they can promote the adoption of ChatGPT among their portfolio and companies, including those in healthcare, financial services, and industrials. The round was 5 times oversubscribed and left some early investors in OpenAI frustrated by the smaller allocations they got as the company prioritized bringing on new strategic backers. The lead investor was Dragoneer Investment Group, which committed $2.8 billion. You got the size going there?
I do.
There we go. An astonishing check from a single venture capital firm that may be one of the largest ever written. The investment casts a spotlight on Dragoneer, which made successful early bets on companies like Airbnb, Spotify, and Uber, but has largely stayed behind the scenes in SV. Mark Stad, Dragoneer's founder, is now taking a very public claim on what many in Silicon Valley see as the defining tech platform of the next decade. The investment represents about 10% of the firm's funds, which I'm just reading as AUM. OpenAI's business continues to surge. Dealbook hears that the company's annual recurring revenue has soared to $13 billion, up from $10 billion in June, and is projected to surpass $20 billion by end of the year. So it is funny when you just see people. I think we talked about this on the show last week. All the stuff around GPT psychosis felt like massive comms crisis brewing. But we said at the time numbers are still going to go up, right? Like the usage is just astonishing. The number of business users who pay for ChatGPT has reached 5 million, up from 3 million just a few months ago. The new funding round comes amid OpenAI's delicate negotiations with Microsoft. Remember that OpenAI is seeking to become a for-profit company, which of course Microsoft needs to sign off on, which is still its biggest investor and partner.
Yeah, remember was it a couple years ago or maybe even just a couple months ago, people were like, oh, the foundation model labs are cooked, all the value will accrue to the application layer, and then OpenAI is just like, cool, like what if we got an application installed on everyone's phone and then charge them $200 a month for it? Like, do you think we could make $1 billion a month?
5 million B2B paying B2B users too.
Like they're dominating in the application layer. Absolutely.
And all of this, the negotiation with Microsoft, as well as some of this new capital, like a lot of the new people coming in, traditionally, some of the largest asset managers in the world. It does feel like there's the path to IPO is starting to become quite a bit more clear. Well,
we know that they use Linear. You got to get on Linear. Linear.app, meet the system for modern software development. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. In other OpenAI news.
One thing. So Dylan, when we interviewed Dylan yesterday, he was highlighting how design is a competitive advantage, and that's the edge. And there's no better example than Linear. That's just been, again, one of those companies that has to have incredible product and incredible product experiences and design, because they're helping people design and build products. And just a perfect example where they came into a crowded category, and it's really one of those like Jiro dreams of sushi businesses where, again, they weren't the first tool in their category. There's companies with billions of dollars in revenue, and they just focus so intensely on making a delightful product. So.
In other OpenAI news, they are doing Stargate Europe. OpenAI is joining forces with 2 European companies to set up a data center in Norway, dubbed Stargate Norway. The project is expected to house 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs. By the end of next year, OpenAI is partnering with AI infrastructure company Nscale Global and industrial group Aker to set up a facility in Kvandal, just outside Narvik in northern Norway. The company is jockeying for the position in the AI race, are seeking to expand data center infrastructure to meet the energy needs to power the technology. And if you're looking to travel the world, get on Wander. Find your happy place. Book a Wander with inspiring views, hotel-grade amenities, dreamy beds, top-tier cleaning, and 24/7 concierge service. And so, there was that article a while back that was saying like Stargate isn't going well. They've scaled it back, and it's like it just keeps. I keep abstracting it into like, well, what is Stargate? If Stargate is just build a lot of data centers, like we can build data centers, it is possible. The question is, like, can you build $500 billion worth of data centers extremely quickly? And the answer is probably no. But if you shoot for the moon, you land in the stars, and that's kind of what's happening. Where it seems like Stargate will have a lot of really, really big facilities all over the place, and like that will be like a compounding advantage and a continuing project for everyone involved. And so some of the folks in the group, SoftBank, Oracle, and MGX, are equity funders in Stargate, and they committed $100 billion initially, with plans to invest up to $500 billion over the next 4 years. So in other news, the mansion section has dropped. It's Friday.
Finally.
It's one of our favorite sections. Let's see, is this in focus? No. Well, we will pull that up in just a second. So tech founder Eugene Nonco has paid $51 million for an oceanfront home in Delray Beach, the highest recorded home sale in the city. Eugene, co-founder of the software company Media Alpha. Have you ever heard of this company, Jordy? Media Alpha. He has... his wife, Olga Nonco, bought the home from eye care mogul Massimo Musa. Property records show Musa had taken the home off the market and initially listed it for $60 back in 2021. The Noncos declined to comment. No one's commenting, but the home is very interesting. Massa and his ex-wife Carrie Whitego paid around $9 million for the Delray Beach land in 2002 and spent around 5 years building the home. The property has a 9-bedroom, roughly 22,000 square foot main house, as well as a guest house. The estate's amenities also include a gym, a roughly 1,000 bottle wine cellar. Not too helpful for me. I guess I could put a bunch of Diet Coke there. But this is where it gets interesting. Guess how many movie theaters this house has?
I mean, since you're asking, I gotta go high. 3?
2.
Damn.
It has a formal movie theater for guests and another movie theater just for kids. I love that. It's like,
good.
I don't want the popcorn in the seats of my movie theater. I want to force the
kids to watch whatever the parents want to watch,
exactly.
And vice versa.
Exactly.
Although it's somewhat, I mean, people are going to critique this and say, like, it should be a family experience, shared experience, lost social time.
Oh, yeah, controversial. But yeah, many people are in the market for a 2-bed, 2-bath. Get a 9-bed. 2 movie theater, 1,000 bottle wine cellar. Seems like a fun house. Musa co-founded several companies, including in the eye care industry, including My Eye Lab and the LASIK Vision Institute, which he sold because he sold this house because he wanted to downsize. Media Alpha, and I've never heard of this company, Media Alpha, but I wanted to dig into it. It says in late 2024, Media Alpha was notified by the FTC, was prepared to file a complaint against the company for alleged deceptive marketing practices. As of April, Media Alpha said it was in active settlement discussions with the FTC. In June, the company announced that Eugene Nonco would step down as Media Alpha's CTO and become the chief architect. And so I guess he founded this company, stepped into the CTO role instead of the CEO role, now is stepping down and still was able to purchase a $51 million home. So has clearly done very well. The previous Delray Beach record was set at $50.5 million, so just barely edging that out earlier this year. The area has seen a number of high-end transactions recently, and another property.
I mean, this home is truly palatial.
It is. It is very loud, opulent. The gold over
statues of philosophers.
Philosophers?
See this?
Oh, no, I haven't seen this. But the golden fireplace is really, really something. Anyway, another tech founder who I think we are actually...
One thing, if we can really mine that asteroid that had however many...
Yes, many more palatial
20
homes
quadrillion tons
coming
of gold.
To the market. Yes.
Everybody is going to have a golden fireplace like this. So universal basic golden fireplace coming soon. So everybody can look forward to that.
What was the Donald Trump thing? He had a golden toilet in the Trump Tower apartment that he had. I mean, everything was gold in that apartment, but also I believe
that's another thing. While we're at it, we've got to cover the White House is creating a new ballroom.
Oh, yes.
The press
Pull that
secretary.
up really quickly. Let me tell you about public.com. Investing for those who take it seriously. You can lock in a 6% yield that won't change if the Fed cuts rates and a diversified portfolio of investment grade and high yield bonds. Go to public.com. So tell me about I saw somebody was saying, oh, I thought it was 9,000 square feet, which would already be huge for a ballroom. Apparently it's 90,000 square feet. Is that correct? How big is this ballroom?
Yeah, so the press secretary announced yesterday the construction of a new 90,000 square foot ballroom.
90,000 square feet. That is so huge.
We're going to be able to fit quite a lot of people in there. That should be where we do the next event with Emily.
Yes.
It seems like an ideal. I know some people that could probably get us access to the space. Obviously, we'll have to wait a few years, but construction is expected to begin in September. It sounds like this is being funded by donors. The press secretary says President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build. What does it cost to build?
I'm pretty sure a football field is around 50,000 square feet. So it's 2 football fields. That's absolutely
maybe
massive.
Trump wants to be able to hold like a gladiator style.
He went to the
NFL All-Star game. Yeah,
really could. You could do UFC
standard,
there. You could probably do UFC there. You could do WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's 50. A typical football field is 57,000 square feet. So we have.
It's bigger than
we're
that.
Gonna have a
with some stands.
America needed a presidential ballroom.
Where is this going to be? In the White House? No.
In Washington.
Okay, just somewhere in D.C. Because they can't possibly find a spare 90,000 square feet in the White House, right? That would make no sense.
Yeah, let's see. But what's exciting to me is like this space is like this shouldn't be. Hopefully, this is not. Nobody sees this as hyper political. I'm sure people will, but the space looks absolutely beautiful, and I think it's important to exercise the muscle of building beautiful things.
Yes, although it is somewhat ironic because Trump was a little bit upset about the Fed remodeling a bunch of stuff and spending a ton of money on an opulent building.
This is being funded by donors.
Okay. So no impact on the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. A little bit more defensible. We'll see.
I'm sure somebody can figure out how it's going to impact the taxpayer, but
who knows? Hopefully, it's built quickly. That would be my biggest hope. Anyway, should we move on to what's going on in Miami?
We should. We absolutely
area
should.
Penthouse is sold. This is fun because so look up Open Evidence and pull up the cap table because I think you're going to want to dig into this company. We haven't had Daniel Nadler, the founder, on the show yet, but we got to talk to him because I've heard a lot of people talking about Open Evidence. So this spring, 42-year-old tech entrepreneur Daniel Nadler gave up his Miami rental apartment and moved into a beachfront hotel. We were talking about living in hotels recently, and where you stand on that. The goal was to streamline his life and focus on building Open Evidence, his Google-backed medical AI company, which is now valued at $3.5 billion. Quote from him, "I didn't want the overhead of dealing with houses and all the stuff that comes with houses," he said. "If I could wake up at 4 a.m. and just order room service, this is so perfect." I love it. Then a friend pointed out that the hotel where he was staying, the Four Seasons at the surf club in Surfside, Florida, also had condos for sale, which is hilarious that you're staying there and you don't realize that it's like that's kind of an L on the Four Seasons for not upselling. It's like you have
a guest here that's just
stayed here for a month. Why don't you just tell them about the condo that's right over there? But
friend of the show lives in a Four Seasons.
Oh, really?
I think
cool.
Mr. John Fiorentino, doesn't he live in a
I
Four
had no
Seasons?
idea. No, I didn't know that.
Residence.
So this week, he checked out of the hotel and moved over to the condos. He paid $38.2 million in cash for a fully furnished penthouse at the beachfront surf club.
How much?
Four Seasons. $38.2 million for a 6,000 square foot, 5-bedroom penthouse with a rooftop pool. The seller was tied to an entity who bought the triplex it's 3 stories.
Open Evidence
for $30 million.
Open Evidence just a couple weeks ago raised a new round of $210 million.
$210.
Series B at a three and a. They raised $210. Everybody, give it up. Hit the size gong.
You probably could do that. Just raise $210 and then just put that out there, and people will misprint it, and you'll get all the press you need.
Led by GV and KP.
Okay.
and valuing the company at $3.5 billion. So he, I imagine, was able to pull enough liquidity.
And I believe this is one of those stories where the company's been going for a long time, like pre-AI boom, and then now is a major beneficiary of the AI boom. So it is
started. Seed round was in 2021.
2021. So that's still pre-GPT-3, like pre-GPT-4, right?
Of course, Sequoia did the A.
Of course.
Sequoia did the A in this year.
What? Oh wow! So they were grinding for a couple of years and then started taking off. Nadler's new penthouse spans about 6,000 square feet with 5 bedrooms and roughly 2,000 square feet of terrace space. Nadler said there's also a roof deck with an infinity pool facing the ocean. It actually feels almost like one of those Venetian palazzos, but in the sky, he said. I like this guy. What a good turn of phrase.
He sounds like he's not the guy to turn off his Zoom background on a call.
Yes.
He's just embracing reality.
Yes, it's great.
Well, any more notes here, and then I think we got.
I wanted to pounce on it. He said, "Whatever I paid, I think it'll be worth double that in 5 years." There was very little negotiation. Nadler said. He said that's what he wanted, and I said okay. A Canada native, Nadler is founder of Kensho Technology. Okay, because I was wondering how did he wind up with $40 million in cash to buy this penthouse if he's still in the Series B?
The latest round.
He could have done he could have done some crazy secondary, but that would be kind of a crazy deal. But he is a second-time founder. In 2018, he sold Kensho Technologies for $550 million. So you walk into Sequoia for Series A for your second company, they're probably going to say yes, and that's what happened. So his decision to move into the Four Seasons was partially inspired by inventor Nikola Tesla's tenure at a New York hotel during the last years of his life. It sounds completely insane, but there's precedent, Nadler said. He's like defending it.
All right, we got to wrap this up.
Thank you so much for watching.
Really important news before we leave. Mira Murati has started following Growing Daniel.
Oh, no. That's amazing.
And
congratulations to Growing Daniel. He's posted
probably
Mira Murati so many times. It's wild that she's following him.
I wouldn't be surprised
if
Thinky Machines buys his company. He's an AI founder.
That would be amazing.
He's a tier 1
could
poster.
happen. I just think he'd have a lot of fun there. I don't know. Whatever he chooses to do, I fully support. And we're looking forward to getting back to LA. Looking forward to get back to 8 Sleeps. Go to 8sleep.com. That's our final ad read. And thank you for watching. We will talk to you on Monday.